Hey folks, Mackenzie Lambert here with a new installment of Cinema Booker. This is a follow-up to the Resident Evil fan casting video for a 1998 Resident Evil movie. Now I'm going to do the sequel slash follow-up in 2000-2001 for Resident Evil 2 with some hints of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Let's have some fun. The setup. After the success of the first Resident Evil movie, Capcom and Constantine Films would want to get started on a sequel. They're willing to throw in some more money, upping the budget from $90 million to $120 million. The screenwriter and plot. It's a no-brainer to have S.D. Perry back. She wrote the novels, as well as whom I've had write the previous film. She has an attention to detail and is good with pacing. Given the action-oriented take the Resident Evil game sequels took, she can incorporate that into the sequel film script. The plot for the film will generally focus on Resident Evil 2, which at the time was the best-selling Resident Evil title in the franchise, but we can utilize bits of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis because both games take place in the same time period. My biggest gripe with Resident Evil Raccoon City was having the events of the first Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 take place on the same evening when both are set months apart in the lore of the games. This just added to the confusion and the rushed pacing of the film, which was detrimental to the resulting product. With Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, you can include RE3 with Jill interacting with Leon at the RPD in an extended sequence. You can have a battle instigated by the main characters pitting Nemesis and Mr. X against each other. You can have a lot of fun with these two plot threads woven together. The director. Paul W.S. Anderson would be my pick for the director. I am not the biggest fan of his take on the Resident Evil films we got from him, IRL. Here, though, he is not writing the script, which means no Alice. The film will focus on the actual characters from the games and not rob those characters of moments of badassery that Alice stole from them. He's great with blending the action with the horror and would be a great fit for this specific film. Makeup effects. K&B Effects was a huge name for horror effects in the 1980s and 90s, expanding from horror thanks to films like Misery, Reservoir Dogs, and Pulp Fiction. The trio of Robert Kurtzman, Greg Nicotero, and Howard Berger could do some fantastic work with the zombies, based on their time with George A. Romero and Day of the Dead. Both Mr. X and Nemesis would look amazing under their capable hands. They would have a field day on William Birkin. The music. With the film taking on a more action-heavy approach, there would need to be a composer that could comply with that change from heavy horror theme of the previous film. Around this time, Claudio Simonetti was solo. He left the gothic sound of Goblin behind him and adopted a more trance house style heavy on the techno. And that would work for this film and would be a solid match for the set pieces. The cast. With members of the cast for this film hinted at in the previous film, we can put them front and center. Start with the leading cast members. We have Ethan Hawke as Leon Kennedy. How this casting didn't happen in the real world is beyond my comprehension. Maybe Hawke was leery of being involved in such an over-the-top franchise. Maybe Hawke wasn't to Anderson's interpretation of the character. Either way, it doesn't matter here. Julia Stiles as Claire Redfield is another perfect match of actor and character. She has the sass, but also the bit of snark we see from the RE2 game. I could easily see Stiles saying, "You lose, big guy." This is just before she broke out with 10 Things I Hate About You, and this film would help her make her more visible of a talent. Ming-Na Wen as Ada Wong, need I say more? She can balance the action and the mystery of the character. She's charming and can pull off the James Bond-esque wiles. This is before she was posing as an FBI agent and was just looking for her boyfriend who died in a mansion. Stacy Keach as Chief Irons would allow for Keach to really tap into a sadistic, cold character. Keach can be a really good villain when given the opportunity. He can play the corrupt official, but seeing him cut loose as the chief killing his own officers and the mayor's daughter for sport would make him a true horror villain. The last returning cast member from the previous film would be Terry Hatcher as Joe Valentine. While RE3 Nemesis would essentially be the C plot of the film, behind Claire's A plot and Leon's B plot, she can still deliver a captivating turn. Seeing Jill in an overwhelming environment during the collapsing of Raccoon City would be a fun scenario. For Sherry Birkin, I am casting Scarlett Johansson. She was born in 1984, which would make her 15, 16 years of age while filming this version of Resident Evil 2. This makes her maneuvering through the streets of Raccoon City to get to the police station much more believable. In the game, she's 12 years old, which strikes me as too young for this character. Yes, I'm taking creative liberty of 3 years age difference. This film would be 3 years after Home Alone 3 and just before Ghost World, so this is the best time to cast her before her career took off. Annette Birkin is going to be different, much different than how she is in the game. I want her to be more protective of Sherry and not oddly emotionally distant as in the game. I want a mama bear willing to be vicious and protecting her daughter. Rebecca De Mornay is my casting pick. She was a solid femme fatale of the 1990s thanks to films like Hand That Rocks the Cradle and The Three Musketeers. Supporting characters. Marvin Branagh is the first survivor of the RPD we meet in the game. You can say I'm cheating by expanding his role to be closer to the remake. He shouldn't be a toss-away character we meet once before his zombification. Hill Harper of CSI New York has a spot-on reference to Marvin, so much of a resemblance that I could have sworn they used him as a model for Marvin in Resident Evil Outbreak File 2. Robert Kendo would be another one that would be different from his take in OG Resident Evil 2. With Claire, he was a creeper, so I'm going to have him be closer to what we see in the RE2 remake. He is the first survivor we meet in Raccoon City, so he will be a bit of an exposition dump. He can also be a levity character as well, bringing some light humor. Richard Mall, Bull from Night Court, can bring that balance. Ace reporter Ben Bertolucci is another one that is a quick exposition dump. Not a lot of time is needed and could be played by an actor in between projects. Sam Rockwell was enjoying a busy period, appearing in The Green Mile, Galaxy Quest, and would be starting Charlie's Angels. Ben's scenes could be shot in 1 or 2 days, allowing for Rockwell to get a spot in the film. He has the right snark for the character. Human William Birkin is such a quick role in the OG game, he doesn't get much to do save for some campy mad scientist line delivery when confronted by Hunk and his team. By the way, Hunk will not be singled out, so he will be blended in with the rest of the team members. No one can deliver menacing scientists quite like Jeffrey Combs of Reanimator. The monsters. I can only imagine what KMB effects would do with these actors and the proverbial canvas that they would work. Dolph Lundgren as G1 William Birkin, Michael Clark Duncan as Mr. X, and Paul the Giant White as Nemesis. And that is my casting for a 2000 Resident Evil movie. Let me know your thoughts in the comments or on social media. Who would you pick for a Resident Evil movie sequel? You can find me on the internet through my Linktree with all my different links. I'm always up for a chat about movies. Until next time, this is Mackenzie Lambert. Take care, folks.